situation?
Well, you know what is happening in Ghana today. That people can arrogate to themselves the power to determine when to release information and when not to release information.
Quite interesting. And that's exactly the discussion we want to have with you. First of all, the minority still insists. It insists that is breach of due process. And that is also disrespect to the Speaker who has an arrangement in place for members of Parliament who you find that may have acted in one way or the other and hence want to question them. The security agents were supposed to have written to the Speaker and that process to be followed, that they did not follow that process. Does the minority have a case when they say that?
They don't have a case. How do the convention developed by Parliament overreach the laws of the country? It's a convention, and if you decide not to follow the convention, it's no breach of the law.
Are you saying that in this case, his parliamentary privileges do not apply?
What privileges? Privileges to make statements recklessly? Do we have such a parliamentary privilege? We are only immune from prosecution or actions in court when we are debating on the floor of the House. The immunity doesn't extend to making spurious and unsubstantiated allegations against public officials.
You mean only on the floor of the House?
Yes, when you are debating on the floor of the House.
So not within the presence of Parliament?
No, even within the presence of Parliament, if you make reckless statements, unsubstantiated and spurious, you can be held responsible.
Are you saying that if you organize a press conference and so if you say these things he said on the floor of Parliament, would he have been immune from
so if you
being
said it on the floor of the Parliament, you would have expected a response from his colleagues to provide the evidence, and then the Speaker to take action and direct us what to do. But that's why he chose not to make the statement on the floor of the House, because that immunity, covers only debates on the floor of the House.
So this particular conference was not covered by parliamentary immunity. Cannot
my
be.
practice, my understanding of the standing orders that regulate the activities and conduct of members of Parliament does not extend. The immunities does not extend to press conferences held by members of Parliament.
But this, and I'm sure the Speaker did this for a reason. That when you need a member of Parliament, and first of all, was this arrangement in place when you were in the House?
It came into being after the arrest of Dan Abutakwe, when he was subjected to attending court every day and so affected his duty of representation for his constituents. So the discussion then ensued whether an arrangement could not be put in place to ensure that the rights of the member of Parliament to represent his constituency was upheld, and also the right or the respect to the judiciary also. So the balance of a sort. So how do we ensure that a member of Parliament is not seen to be acting in a manner that leads to a perception that he's above the law, and as well as ensuring that members of Parliament's duty to his constituents is not breached, is not abused.
And this applies even when Parliament is on recess. You can still, if a state agency wants a particular member of Parliament, they can still go to the Speaker and they go through the process.
Well, it doesn't say that when Parliament is on recess, the state agencies have to go to the Speaker for permission to speak to a member of Parliament, except that because of the respect the state agencies have for the Speaker and for Parliament, sometimes they will want to ensure that that respect is accorded the institution of Parliament. But it actually doesn't extend to periods where Parliament is on recess.
But would it have not been tidier and perhaps not generated the chaos and given perhaps the MPP the this kind of platform they got yesterday to come after the government further if they had gone through this process, rather?
Well, that is their view. They think that, and you can understand why they are saying so. If your back is pushed against the wall, you will definitely be looking for escape routes. And one of the escape routes they have identified is to give excuses that even though Parliament is on recess, the security agencies have to go through the Speaker. And so it's an escape route. It is not a matter of consequence, but having been pushed against the wall, they need to come up with excuses.
And they're also of the opinion that we organized a press conference. We elected Rev Ntim Fodjour to address this press conference. This is the minority opinion. You cannot hold him responsible for the minority, the opinion of a group. That if you want, you hold the entire group responsible, or perhaps maybe the leadership. So why are you going after Reverend when we all agreed? We only elected him as spokesperson. Don't they have a case?
Dead wrong. It's dead wrong. In Ghana, the laws of criminal jurisdiction and jurisprudence says that they cannot be vicarious responsibility for the commission of a crime. And so if a person is elected by the minority to make a statement whose statement has turned out to be false, and then so has raised fear and panic in the system, and so he's being asked to come and collaborate with the state agencies to establish it, the minority cannot say that he spoke on their behalf. He assumed full and complete responsibility for the statements he made, having made those statements.
You said commission of a crime. Which crime?
The crime of, why is he being invited by the criminal investigation, state security agencies? It was civil. In ours, we have a binary. We have civil actions and criminal actions. Criminal actions are actions against the state. Civil actions are actions against the individual. If it were an action against an individual, they would have gone to court on a civil action, on defamation or something of that nature. But this is, we will see the state agencies involved in this matter, prima facie, you can conclude that a form of a crime is involved.
But, Alhaji, and I guess we took away the matter of the criminal libel law for a reason. Because, there's a fine balance between where your right to free speech and perhaps where you can pull the state into this kind of situation. Was this the best way to go about it?
Was this the best way to have?
Was it the best way to perhaps get him to answer questions if you wanted him to answer questions?
That was the best way. He has been invited. He has refused to attend to the invitation. And what do you want them to do? You want them to issue a public notice that is... It's one of the ways that they can get him to issue, go to his house and arrest him, and bring him for questioning. If you voluntarily refuse to attend to state agencies to answer questions, then you'll be forcefully brought before the court, before the agencies to answer those questions.
Then there's the angle of Kojo Oponkrumah saying he's a whistleblower, and you don't treat a whistleblower that way. That is Kojo Oponkrumah. Again,
that's an excuse, a very lame excuse. Whistleblowers don't go and organize press conferences to blow whistles.
They don't organize press conferences to blow whistle?
No, what they do is that they look at the law. Look at the law. If it's a whistleblower, look at the law. Is that the procedure for blowing the whistle?
So for a whistleblower, if he was a whistleblower, should he have been? Did you expect him to be the one who is most ready to assist the state?
What I'm saying is that when you make a statement which reeks of recklessness, which is unsubstantiated, which is spurious, you bear full and complete responsibility for that statement. And so you must either assist the investigating authorities to unravel the truth behind your statement, or you will be compelled to give evidence of the truth of your statement. So that's it. You have said that this is what is happening. When We are a very serious country. And this is the time to speak frankly and honestly to each other on matters bordering on the security of the state. That you can't make allegations and just walk away from those allegations and leave the whole country consumed by the allegations. That is the highest state of irresponsibility. And until we begin to speak seriously to each other, these matters will continue.
I see. But for the sake of education, if he was a whistleblower and he had information, what was he supposed to do?
Many fora, many. First of all, he is the ranking member on the Defense and Media Committee, so he has access to one, his chairman, two, to all the national security agencies, three, to Parliament itself as an institution, and so the avenues are just too many to ignore. And if a person chooses to ignore those avenues available to him to make such serious statements or allegations against individuals operating in this country, then he should bear responsibility. He should bear responsibility for that.
And I'll come to Kojo Ponkuma again. And I'm sure you remember famously the MV Benjamin case. He compares it to that.
I was counsel for Benendego.
Okay. He compares to the MV Benjamin case and said that in the MV Benjamin case, when these issues came, our government set up a commission, among others. So government should be investigating it, not chasing Reverend.
MV Benjamin case was not based on spurious allegation. It was based on concrete evidence that had been adduced and by people who had said, look, this is what is happening. The state security agencies confirmed there was prima facie evidence of the arrival of MV Benjamin, of the about 180 pallets or so of cocaine missing from the MV Benjamin and all those things. And so that is quite different from this. Which agency intercepted the drugs? Which agency saw the drugs? How were the drugs removed from the aircraft? MB Benjamin, the drugs were removed, the pallets were removed.
I see. And it's becoming difficult to know how this matter. If you speak to the security agencies too, they say at this point, what we found is that nothing untoward happened. We are waiting for him to provide the evidence he has that will help us to move on from here.
So it is his case against the security agencies, and he's seeking to make the issue a national issue by keeping or preventing or refusing to give evidence to the security agencies. And so that is the way he wants it to be. He makes the allegation. He's not prepared to subject himself to collaborative efforts between him and the security agencies to unravel the truth behind it. You must understand the game that Rev Ntim Fodjour is playing.
The game he's playing?
It's a game. It's a game that he's playing. It's a political game. It's a game that he's seeking. He and his minority group are seeking to paint this government, with the allegation of criminal conduct in the way they handled the two aircrafts that came into this country. And the way to do it is to make those allegations and stay away from providing evidence. Because when the evidence is, when the matter is gone into, he will be exposed as having told a lie. And he doesn't want that.
I see. Alhaji, and I want to conclude by asking you, how do you think the security agents will approach this matter going forward?
Well, if he's refusing and they have reason to believe that he's peddling falsehood and is engaged in criminal conduct and he's refusing to submit himself, they go to court for a criminal summons.
I see. Can they still not go through the speaker?
What I'm saying is that the speaker the parliament is on recess for a certain period of time. Whether the speaker will be available or not, he himself is on recess. Whether he will travel or not, we are unable to tell. The best way, in my view, is to go to court on a criminal summons. The court gives him a day to appear, and we'll see whether he can refuse to appear before the court. And when he appears before the court hands him over to the security agencies for their investigation. That's all.
Well, Alhaji, thank you. But before you go, I realize that your former colleague, both in cabinet and in parliament, Emmanuel Amakofi, were always occupying a position you used to occupy. That's the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. I was talking about the Lands Commission yesterday and said that people say you are corrupt, but I don't want to believe it. And I'm sure that you had dealings with the Lands Commission, the complaints that came to you. When it comes to the matter of corruption there, would you agree with him that people say, but I don't want to believe it?
Well, so I left the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources about 12 years ago. So many things would have changed. And maybe what I experienced being a minister is not what he's seeing. So I'm incapacitated from commenting on the matter he is spoken about because time has passed.
What was your experience with the Lands Commission?
Well, my experience was that we are dealing with a lot of debt capital. People build houses without documents, and because they don't have documents, they can't use their houses to secure any loan. And so the money that they have sunk in building the house is just for their own comfort. If they have more than one house, the house only generates rent. And that is all. But having built a house, if you have documents covering the house, you can use the documents of the house to secure a facility to extend into businesses or go into other businesses. So that house will be capital, will be life capital, can do many things for you. That was my concern. So that is why I championed and piloted the digitalization program that started during my time. And then I'm surprised that Baumia, when he came, wanted to claim credit for it. We knew that the only way that we could give life to the dead capital was to register land title documents and ensure that all buildings that were constructed in this country had a title document, which title document they could use for other transactions. And because there was no digital registration, manually, people, when they bought land, had to go to the Lands Commission to conduct searches. Now, because it was manual, searches were unreliable to the extent that you could find one plot of land being claimed by 2 or more people. And so, if you digitalize the Lands Commission, and especially all the parcel plans that were done in the areas declared as a registration district, the chances of 2 people claiming ownership of the land will be greatly reduced. And so there will be some certainty and predictability that when land is sold to you and a search is conducted at the Lands Commission, that search will adequately and accurately reflect the status of the land.
So you went about attempting, did you succeed with the digitalization?
Yes, under the lab project, lab 1 and 2. Under the lab project.
But did he solve the problem?
Well, so I left there. It was a process when I was there. So I left there. I'm unable to tell.
Yeah. And as a lawyer, and also I know you are actively involved in when it comes to public debates, public engagements. When you hear about the Lands Commission, do you feel the problem has been solved?
Well, the problem has not totally gone away because the matters have slowed down, largely because of rent. Well, rent-seeking officials still at the Lands Commission, and they make the process clumsy in order to continue to benefit from the clumsiness.
I see. And then still at the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, and sorry I'm holding you for a while. Just briefly, the government has come under some criticism when the Minister for Interior is talking about deportation of foreign nationals instead of prosecuting them in Ghana. The civil society people say because government has refused to declare a state of emergency, it means they are not serious about actively fighting and winning the fight against Galamsey. What do you make of those two issues that have come up? Civil society is clearly not in favor of the Minister for Interior saying deport them and not prosecute them. They feel that when deport them, in the Aisha 1 case, they'll find their way back to Ghana.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm still trying to understand the policy. Because again, as a Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, I was at the forefront of reviewing the law on Act 703 or so, the Minerals and Mining Act, and we had a comprehensive regime of how to deal with foreigners engaged in small-scale mining. Because primarily, the foreigners are not supposed, by law, to engage in small-scale mining. And so where foreigners are found in the small-scale mining sector is leads to a prima facie evidence of culpability. And we had said that as a deterrent, we had to subject the foreigners to the criminal trial in our courts in Ghana, and then if they are found guilty, they serve their sentence, and after their sentence, we deport them. So that was the regime provided in the Minerals and Mining Act. Now, as amended, now I don't know what has informed the policy shift, and so probably we'll have to engage in with the Minister for Interior to understand what has informed the policy shift. But as I understand, the law still says that when the foreigner is engaged in small-scale mining and is caught, that foreigner must go through trial, and then, if he's convicted, serves his sentence, and after his sentence or his sentence is deported out of the country.
I see. And on the matter of the declaration of a state of emergency?
Yeah, I had argued in the past that we needed to do that so that we could halt the mining, the degradation of the environment. Because when you declare a state of emergency, all rights, existing rights are suspended. And so the government can then go in. And then now we've been told that some foreign forces are occupying some of our forests. How true is it? I can't tell. Now, when you declare a state of emergency, you suspend all rights. And people who are found in the forest after the declaration are enemies. And so you would treat them as enemies. And the Ashanti man or the houseman will say you logo all of them, or the military man, into the military vehicles and send them to the detention centers. And then you can then process them for court. And when you declare, you give power to the state agencies to act.
Alhaji, I know I have to let you go. Greet my people for me.
They will hear.
Yeah, thank you. Alhaji Inusah Fuseini, someone of our Parliament for TAMALE Central, speaking to us. Alhaji has held many positions and has done